There are only three types of people in this world. First, those with a very strong foundation. These are people who begin by starting with a foundation. They have a safety net from their family. Even if their startup fails, they don't face the risk of bankruptcy, homelessness, losing their home, or piling up debt, and so on. They inherit a very good education and receive guidance from their family with an upper class mindset, so they don't have to worry about daily basic necessities. Psychologically, these people are very comfortable with taking risks, because basically, they've never had the pressure of survival weighing on their shoulders. The second group is those starting from zero. This is the group where you have no safety net from your family to act as a launch pad, but you don't have any extreme burdens either. You don't have massive debts, and you don't have to support your family or anything like that. The third group is those starting below zero. This is the group starting below zero. So right from the start of the race, you're not even at the same starting line as everyone else. You're standing far behind, and you have to struggle just to catch up to that zero starting line like them. Only from that 0 point can you move forward. These people have to work very, very hard just to reach the zero position. No debt, no pressure, nothing at all. Just a true zero. These people are born in a very poor circumstances. You could even say extreme poverty. Then, as they grow up, they carry debts like medical bills, family debt, or student loans. And you're responsible for taking care of other family members, things like that. Maybe you're in a more toxic environment, lacking the financial conditions, mindset, or education that normal people have. The living environment is quite toxic. Your energy is consumed by trying to solve survival issues, food, housing, rent, and debt. Instead of thinking about self-development, starting a business, or new ideas and such. You have very little time for that, as most of your time is spent just surviving. Identifying your starting line isn't about complaining or blaming the system, it's so you can apply the right strategy for yourself. If you take the strategy of someone with a strong foundation and apply it to someone starting below zero, it's a one-way ticket to hell. I think most people today are living in that below zero group. You go to school and you're already carrying student debt. Most of your net worth is almost zero because the income from your first few paychecks is much smaller than the debt you owe. So you spend a lot of time just paying off this debt to get back to the zero line compared to others. The current cost of living is quite high, so your salary is basically spent as soon as you earn it each month. You have no safety net from your family and no significant savings. Every single risk that happens to you is a total disaster. Car trouble, illness, being too sick to work, missing a week or two, and the pressure of debt and rent is what kills you even faster than the sickness itself. Most of the wealth building or self-development content on social media right now, I think is falling into a state of survivorship bias, and it completely ignores the starting line. Most success formulas are designed for people who at least have a starting point of zero. You don't have any debts or pressures here. No one you need to take care of. You're just simply at zero. Maybe you don't have a financial cushion, but you don't have debts either. And then, whatever you earn, you can save a very large portion of it. Then you use that money to fuel your dreams, start a business, this idea, that idea, and have time to learn this and that. But for those starting below zero, these formulas just don't work. So when you apply the formulas of this privileged group to the below zero group, it's not just wrong, it's a total disaster. It's like a one-way ticket straight to hell. It's incredibly toxic and dangerous. This mismatch happens for at least 3 reasons. First, regarding the ability to tolerate risk. For those at zero or above with the foundation, advice like all in on your ideas, focus for 6 months, focus intensely on yourself, and so on, is actually right, because at worst, they just go back to zero, get a job, and lose their savings. That's it, no big deal. But for those below zero, this risk tolerance is extremely low. Every single mistake here, every single loss, it leads to bankruptcy, family separation, and debt. It leads to a severe crisis, and it's very heavy. It's not just about losing money and time. Second, it's a psychological issue. Usually, online content preaches that everyone has the same 24 hours. It's just about how you use that time. Wake up at 5 a.m., go to the gym, or run, or read books, or meditate, things like that. The truth is, for those starting below zero, all the psychological pressure is already spent on survival. You have to work 2 jobs at once every day. You work from morning until night just to earn enough to live. You have to worry about rent, debt, and all that stuff. You almost have no capacity or time to do anything else. Basically, you only have a few precious hours to learn something new and a tiny bit of savings to try something else. And most importantly, you can't possibly spend another 8 hours working on some startup idea. You've already worked yourself to exhaustion. You need enough sleep to have the health to keep working in the coming days to earn money. You can't afford to just fall sick for a week or two. So the discrepancy here in terms of time management and psychology is actually quite massive. It's just not fair between someone starting below zero and someone with a foundation. The third issue is the problem related to the financial aspect of things. Common advice online is usually like invest in assets, build a personal brand, or create passive income. These things, they require a very long time, and it's measured in years to actually see any results. It won't happen quickly in just 1 or 2 months. But for those starting low, below zero, you're bleeding financially every day, meaning every day you have to shell out money for debts and various expenses and so on. So your actual problem here is that you need to stop the bleeding. You must protect your current cash flow first before thinking about building assets. The actual process is something social media usually doesn't praise, because for something to be celebrated on social media, it needs to break away from the ordinary. Meaning it has to be faster than usual or more than usual to get any attention. Like if someone young achieves something in 6 months, that's what gets noticed. But the story of someone spending 3 or 5 years to achieve something, well, people often ignore those stories. But that is exactly the point. The fact is, spending 3 to 5 years to succeed is the most correct and sustainable path for us, for those starting from a low point, not the short-term stories that social media loves to praise. Those who achieve it in such a short time only make up about 0.1% of the world's population. They don't prove anything, and it's not the right way for those starting below zero. The process for those below zero usually has to be divided into 2 stages. The first stage is when you climb up to reach the starting line at zero, from negative up to zero. This is the time when you have to put in the most effort and work the hardest. There's no work smarter, not harder here. It's simply that you have to exhaust yourself working to build up some income and finances, at least enough to survive and pay off debts to climb up to that zero position. The second stage is the creation stage, going from 0 to 1, and that's when you start learning things that are more strategic, investing in assets, systems thinking, building a business, and so on, things like that. So it has to be split into 2 stages like that. Usually, all the pressure and difficulties, they lie right here, which is when you apply stage 2 knowledge to stage 1. In stage 1, you're just trying to generate as much cash flow as possible. You can experiment with very small, tiny little ideas, things that, if they fail, you only lose about $100 or $200 in capital, so it's not a major loss. Then, accumulate as much cash flow as possible to clear your debts and buy back your basic freedom. That's the zero law. And the creation stage is when you finally start focusing on building a real business. Whether it's learning startup mindset strategies, systems, processes, or those million-dollar business scale-up strategies, that stuff is for a later stage. If you apply that to stage 1, you won't have the foundation to execute it, leading to failure after failure, making you discouraged and quit. The strategy for those starting from below zero like us is that you need to do less, but do it right, rather than trying to do more. When you read social media posts, they tend to push you to do even more. You're already working hard, and now it's telling you to hit the gym, wake up at 5 a.m., work 16 hours a day, read books, meditate, and so on. Everything like that. That's completely wrong, and it doesn't apply to you. What's right is that you have to discard all of that. Discard it all, clear it out, and only keep what's right. You just need to focus on doing it right. not doing more. Imagine you'll work more, work harder, but if you're doing it the wrong way, the result will still be wrong. But if you do it right, even just one thing, and you work slowly for an hour or two each day, day after day, you're still heading in the right direction. Because your time and money are limited, you can only afford to do one or two things right. Pick one or two right things and focus solely on them for a specific period of time. That's the smartest and most correct strategy to follow. It's not about trying to do more. You don't need to find million-dollar ideas. You don't need to borrow more money to start up. You don't need to quit your job to start a business. No. You just need to do it the right way, with your limited time and your limited budget. Follow that method, the one for those starting from below zero, not the one for those with a foundation.